The false victory. The command bridge of the intrepid Dominion glittered with celebration lights as High Commander Vexor watched Earth's orbital defenses crumble under the Galactic Alliance's final assault. His four-fingered hand raised a crystalline goblet filled with luminescent victory nectar, a tradition dating back to the Alliance's founding 2,000 years ago. To another successful integration, Vexor announced, his leathery gray skin crinkling around his eyes as he smiled. The bridge crew, a carefully selected mix of the Alliance's 7 founding species, raised their own goblets in response. The humans fought well, remarked his second-in-command, Strategic Director Nilith. Her translucent exoskeleton shimmered under the bridge lights. For primitives, Vexor nodded, his long neck extending in the traditional Arxian gesture of agreement. Indeed, their resourcefulness was unexpected. Most species surrender after the first orbital bombardment. On the main view screen, Earth's final defense station split apart, its components drifting into the void as escape pods jettisoned in all directions. The Alliance fleet, 200 vessels arranged in the ceremonial harvester formation, had positioned themselves in high Earth orbit, their sleek, organic-looking hulls forming an impenetrable net around the blue planet. "Begin the planetary address," Vexor ordered, setting down his goblet and straightening his ceremonial armor. The victory celebration would continue later. Now was the time for magnanimity and triumph, a quality the Alliance prided itself on. The view screen shifted to show a direct feed to Earth's remaining communication networks. Vexor adopted the solemn expression expected of a conquering commander. "People of Earth," he began, his voice automatically translated into all human languages simultaneously. "The Galactic Alliance acknowledges your valiant defense and welcomes you into our cosmic community. Your world will now benefit from our guidance and protection. Your military capabilities will be integrated into our collective defense network, and your unique cultural attributes preserved under Alliance stewardship." The standard annexation speech continued as Vexor outlined the terms of Earth's surrender. Level 3 integration was considered generous by Alliance standards. Humans would retain limited self-governance and cultural autonomy, while contributing resources and personnel to the greater galactic community. What Vexor didn't mention was that humanity's evident resourcefulness made them valuable assets. The Alliance had been surprised by Earth's defensive capabilities, primitive though they were, and impressed by their tactical innovations. Such qualities made humans ideal for frontier defense and resource extraction operations. "Commence integration protocols," Vexor ordered after concluding the address. The fleet began deploying administrative vessels, each carrying hundreds of Alliance bureaucrats and engineers who would begin the process of restructuring Earth's governance and infrastructure. In the ship's analytical center, Junior Sensor Specialist Kuril was performing routine scans of the solar system. The young Malorian's tentacles moved rapidly across the sensor array, their suckers attaching to control nodes with practiced precision. "Commander," Kuril called, a note of confusion in their melodic voice. "I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from Saturn's rings." Strategic Director Nilith glanced dismissively at the readings. "Likely natural phenomena. This system has several gas giants with complex electromagnetic fields." "With respect, Director," Kuril persisted, their skin flushing a deeper blue, "these readings match no known natural pattern in our database. They appear artificial." Before Nilith could respond, the ship's alarm system activated. Not the warning tones of a minor anomaly, but the full emergency alert reserved for imminent threats. The celebration on the command bridge halted abruptly as officers rushed back to their stations. Vexor strode quickly to the central command platform, his expression shifting from confusion to concern. "Report," he demanded. The tactical officer's hands flew across the holographic interface. "Multiple objects emerging from Saturn's rings, Commander. Large objects, very large." The view screen shifted to show Saturn, its magnificent rings glowing in the distant sunlight. At first, Vexor saw nothing unusual. Then, as the magnification increased, he noticed movement. dark shapes detaching from the rings themselves, as if pieces of the celestial structure were breaking free. "Impossible," breathed Nilith beside him. "Those readings can't be correct." But they were. As the objects moved clear of Saturn's rings, their true nature became unmistakable. Ships, warships. Not the primitive vessels the Alliance had easily dispatched during their invasion, but massive angular behemoths that bristled with weapon emplacements. "Size comparison," Vexor ordered, his voice steady despite the growing knot of dread in his chest. The tactical display updated to show a comparison between the leading human vessel and the Intrepid Dominion, the Alliance flagship and largest military vessel in known space. The human ship was 3 times larger. "That's impossible," Nilith whispered. "Our intelligence indicated humans had barely achieved interplanetary travel. They couldn't possibly have constructed vessels of this size without our knowledge." As they watched, more ships emerged, not just from Saturn's rings, but from hiding places throughout the solar system. Some appeared from behind Jupiter, others rose from the asteroid belt, and still more decloaked from positions around Earth's moon. "We've been deceived," Vexor realized, his military training asserting itself through the shock. All of this, their primitive defenses, their conventional resistance, it was a ruse. "Incoming transmission from the lead human vessel," announced the communications officer, her feathers bristling with tension. The view screen changed to show a human female in what appeared to be a military uniform. Unlike the desperate, fear-filled humans they had encountered during the invasion, this one's expression was calm, confident, even stern. "This is Admiral Helena Reyes of the Earth Defense Fleet," she announced without preamble. "Your assessment of our capabilities was deliberately incomplete. The defenses you destroyed were decoys. Our real fleet has been waiting for this moment." Vexor drew himself up to his full height, attempting to project authority despite the situation's rapid deterioration. "This is High Commander Vexor of the Galactic Alliance. Your deception violates interstellar protocols of engagement." A slight smile crossed the human admiral's face. "Interstellar protocols, like the ones that say you should contact a species before invading their homeworld. Those protocols." Before Vexor could respond, the tactical officer called out in alarm. "Sir, the human vessels are moving to surround our fleet. Their weapon systems are active, and, sir, they're targeting specific systems on each of our ships with precision we've never encountered before." The realization struck Vexor like a physical blow. The humans hadn't just hidden their true capabilities, they had studied the Alliance thoroughly. They knew exactly where to hit to disable rather than destroy. On the view screen, Admiral Reyes remained composed. "You have 2 options, Commander. Withdraw your forces immediately, or surrender and prepare to negotiate new terms, our terms." Throughout the Alliance fleet, reports flooded in of human vessels appearing from hiding spots throughout the solar system. Not just the massive dreadnoughts, but smaller, faster craft that moved with impossible agility. The humans had constructed an entire fleet in secret, all while presenting a facade of primitive space capability to the galaxy. "How?" Vexor couldn't stop himself from asking. "How did you conceal all of this?" "You underestimated us," Reyes replied simply. "Your intelligence said we were fractious, divided, primitive. You saw what we wanted you to see. When we detected your scout ships years ago, we united. We prepared. We waited." The tactical display updated again, showing the full scope of the human fleet now deployed around the Alliance forces. The numbers were staggering. The Alliance had arrived with 200 vessels, confident it was overwhelming force. The humans had deployed over 500, many larger and apparently more advanced than anything in the Alliance arsenal. "Sir," the tactical officer reported, voice cracking, "they've achieved targeting locks on every critical system across our fleet. Engine cores, command centers, weapon controls, all simultaneously." "Impossible," breathed Nilith. "No targeting system can achieve that level of precision across multiple vessels." As if in answer to her disbelief, Pinpoint red targeting beams appeared on the bridge, dancing across critical control stations. Similar reports came in from every ship in the fleet. The humans weren't just targeting their vessels. They were demonstrating that they could selectively disable any system they chose. "Your celebration was premature, Commander," Admiral Rice said, her voice level. "Now shall we discuss the terms of your surrender?" The command bridge of the Intrepid Dominion fell silent. The celebration lights still twinkled incongruously overhead, but no one was celebrating now. Vexor looked around at his crew, seeing the same realization dawn on each alien face. They had not been the hunters. They had been the prey. In a distant observation post at the edge of the solar system, Alliance anthropological specialist Telm watched the situation unfold with academic interest rather than military concern. Specialized in studying pre-FTL civilizations, Telm had argued against the invasion from the beginning, insisting that humans displayed unusual patterns of development. "They're too adaptable," Telm had warned the Alliance Council. "They progress too quickly and in unpredictable ways." The Council had dismissed these concerns. After all, the Alliance had successfully integrated over 300 species. Humans were just another primitive civilization to be guided into the galactic community. Now, as Telm watched the humans reveal their true capabilities, a mixture of vindication and fascination washed over them. This was unprecedented in galactic history, a pre-contact species not only anticipating invasion but preparing for it so thoroughly that they had reversed the power dynamic entirely. As the human admiral delivered her ultimatum to the Alliance fleet, Telm activated their personal recording device. This moment would transform galactic politics forever. The era of easy Alliance expansion had just ended. A new era, one where humanity would play a central role, had begun. On Earth, in a hardened bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains, the United Earth government watched the confrontation in orbit with collective held breath. President Kai Chen, elected to lead humanity through this critical first contact, sat at the head of the table, his expression betraying nothing of the tension he felt. "Admiral Rice has them cornered," reported Defense Secretary Okonkwo. "All ships report ready status. We can disable their entire fleet within 90 seconds if required." Chen nodded, but his focus remained on the larger picture. "And the rest of the galaxy? What do we know about Alliance reinforcements?" "Our deep space monitors show no sign of additional Alliance forces," replied Intelligence Director Santos. "As we predicted, they committed minimal resources to what they believed would be an easy conquest." "Their overconfidence worked in our favor," Chen observed. "But this is just the beginning. Once word reaches the rest of the Alliance, we'll face a much more serious challenge." Around the table, leaders from every major Earth nation nodded in agreement. The unprecedented global unification that had made this moment possible hadn't come easily. For decades after discovering the Alliance scout ships, old rivalries and suspicions had threatened to derail the secret preparation efforts. But faced with the existential threat of alien invasion, humanity had finally found common purpose. Resources had been pooled, scientific breakthroughs shared, and a unified defense strategy implemented, all while maintaining the illusion of a divided, technologically limited species. "It's time for Phase 2, Chen decided, pressing a button on the conference table. In orbit, aboard her flagship Deterrence, Admiral Rice received the presidential authorization and allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction. The Alliance had expected an easy victory, a simple addition to their collection of subjugated worlds. Instead, they had walked into humanity's carefully laid trap. Now it was time to show them exactly who they were dealing with. "Activate the Sol Gate," she ordered. At the edge of the solar system, beyond the orbit of Pluto, space itself began to ripple and twist as humanity revealed its greatest technological achievement, and the real reason they had needed to keep the Alliance distracted. Humanity ascended. High Commander Vexor had experienced many things during his 3 centuries of military service to the Galactic Alliance. He had quelled rebellions on a dozen worlds, negotiated with ancient machine intelligences in the Cygnus Arm, and even survived an assassination attempt by the infamous Void Cult. But nothing in his long career had prepared him for this moment. Our strategic assessment was incomplete, he admitted, the words bitter on his tongue. On the view screen, Admiral Helena Reyes regarded him with the calm confidence of someone holding all the winning cards. That's one way to put it, Commander. Behind her on the bridge of the Deterrence, human officers worked at stations far more advanced than Alliance intelligence had believed possible. The ship itself, one of the massive dreadnoughts that had emerged from Saturn's rings, hummed with power readings that the Alliance's sensors struggled to quantify. You understand that I cannot surrender the entirety of the Alliance fleet without authorization from the Council, Vexor said, attempting to regain some diplomatic ground. I understand that your position is precarious, Reyes replied. But make no mistake, Commander, this is not a negotiation. It is an opportunity for you to avoid unnecessary loss of life. As if to emphasize her point, targeting beams intensified across the Alliance fleet. Engineering reports flooded in, confirming what Vexor already suspected. The humans weren't bluffing. They possessed targeting technology far beyond Alliance capabilities, able to precisely disable critical systems across hundreds of vessels simultaneously. We will stand down our weapons, Vexor conceded, giving the order with a gesture to his tactical officer, and await further communication. The connection terminated, leaving the bridge of the intrepid Dominion in stunned silence. Strategic Director Nilith moved to Vexor's side, her exoskeleton clicking softly as she leaned closer. Commander, how could our intelligence have failed so catastrophically? She whispered. Humans were classified as a pre-FTL civilization with primitive spacefaring capability. Yet they've clearly mastered technologies we believed were centuries beyond them. Vexor had been asking himself the same question. We were shown what they wanted us to see, Director. The question is why? Why maintain such an elaborate deception? Before Nilith could respond, the sensor specialist Kirill called out in alarm. Commander, massive energy spike detected at the system's edge, beyond the orbit of the 9th planet. The view screen shifted to show deep space, where an impossible phenomenon was unfolding. Space itself seemed to fold inward, forming a perfect ring of swirling energy approximately 5 kilometers in diameter. By the Founders, breathed Nilith. Is that what I think it is? Vexor could only nod, his professional composure cracking at the implications. A controlled artificial wormhole. They've mastered stable FTL gateway technology. This revelation was perhaps the most shocking of all. The Alliance had been experimenting with wormhole technology for centuries without achieving stability beyond a few microseconds. Yet here were the humans, supposedly primitive, operating what appeared to be a permanent installation. And through that impossible gateway came more ships. Not human vessels this time, but clearly alien designs unlike anything in Alliance records. 3, then 5, then a dozen different vessel configurations, each moving with purpose to join the human fleet in surrounding the Alliance forces. Incoming transmission, announced the communications officer. From the new arrivals. The view screen changed to show a startling sight. A council chamber containing representatives of at least 7 non-human species, none of them Alliance members. At the center stood another human, this one older than Admiral Reyes, with silver hair and the bearing of a diplomat rather than a warrior. This is Ambassador Elijah Okafor of the Sol Confederation, the human announced. With me are representatives of the Free Orion Worlds, the Proxima Coalition, and the Eridani Conclave, sovereign civilizations that have chosen alliance with humanity rather than subjugation by your so-called Galactic Alliance. Vexor felt the deck shifting beneath him, not physically but metaphorically. Everything he had believed about humanity's place in the galaxy was crumbling away. You've been in contact with other civilizations, he asked, unable to hide his shock. How is this possible? Our stellar surveys indicated no other advanced species in this sector. Your surveys were incomplete, Ambassador Okafor replied with a thin smile, or perhaps deliberately misdirected. Either way, Commander, you now face not just Earth's defense forces, but a coalition of free worlds that have united against Alliance expansion. On the deterrence, Admiral Reyes watched the exchange with satisfaction. Phase 2 of Earth's long-prepared strategy was unfolding exactly as planned. The revelation of the Sol Confederation, humanity's alliance with other independent worlds beyond Alliance control, was having the desired psychological impact. Engine signatures from the Alliance fleet suggest they're powering down completely, reported her tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Rivera. They're no longer in combat stance. Reyes nodded. Maintained targeting locks nonetheless. The Alliance has a history of deception. The irony of her statement wasn't lost on her. For decades, humanity had engaged in perhaps the greatest deception in galactic history. After recovering and reverse engineering technology from the first Alliance scout ships to crash on Earth, the world's governments had made a crucial decision. Rather than revealing their newfound knowledge, they would hide it, presenting a facade of primitive development while secretly preparing for the invasion they knew would eventually come. It had been a gamble requiring unprecedented global cooperation and secrecy. Underground manufacturing facilities were constructed beneath mountain ranges and oceans. Research installations were hidden in the dark craters of the moon. Shipyards were concealed within the rings of Saturn and the atmosphere of Jupiter, all while Earth apparently struggled with basic rocket technology and petty international disputes. Admiral, called the communications officer, President Chen is requesting your presence at the diplomatic exchange. With a final glance at the tactical display showing the now surrounded Alliance fleet, Reyes transferred command to her second-in-command and made her way to the ship's diplomatic chamber, a space specifically designed for this moment. In the diplomatic chamber of the deterrence, President Kai Chen waited alongside the representatives of Earth's secret alien allies. The chamber itself was a testament to humanity's technological advancement, a gravity-controlled space where multiple species with different biological needs could interact comfortably. Admiral, Chen greeted Reyes as she entered. Excellent work. The Alliance fleet has been neutralized without casualties. Reyes nodded. Their commander has requested Council authorization before formal surrender. Standard Alliance protocol for fleets of this size. Let them communicate with their Council, Chen said with a slight smile. In fact, let's ensure they have a clear channel. I want the Council to see exactly what has happened here. Ambassador Okafor approached, accompanied by Zura Thal of the Free Orion Worlds, a tall avian being whose iridescent feathers shimmered under the chamber's lights. The Alliance will not accept this new reality easily, Zorathal cautioned, her translator converting the musical tones of her native language. They have been the dominant power in this sector for millennia. They will marshal greater forces once they recover from their shock. We're counting on it, Chen replied. This confrontation was never meant to be the end, merely the beginning. On the main view screen, the feed from the Alliance flagship showed Commander Vexor in communication with the Galactic Council, a panel of ancient species that had governed Alliance expansion for thousands of years. The Council members' expressions ranged from disbelief to outrage as they received Vexor's report. Impossible, declared Councillor Drithax, his gelatinous form pulsating with emotion. How could primitives develop such technology without detection? How could they form alliances beyond our knowledge? The evidence is before you, councillors, Vexor responded, his tone carefully controlled. I have transmitted all sensor data. The humans possess technologies we believe theoretical at best, including stable wormhole generation. They have allied with multiple species unknown to our records, and they have our fleet surrounded with targeting solutions for every critical system. The council chamber erupted in overlapping arguments until the first speaker, a being so old its physical form had been largely replaced with technological supports, raised a mechanical appendage for silence. What are their demands? The first speaker asked, its synthesized voice eerily calm amidst the chaos. Before Vexor could respond, the transmission expanded to include the diplomatic chamber of the deterrence. President Chen stepped forward, flanked by Admiral Reyes, and the representatives of Earth's alien allies. "Greetings, honored council," Chen said with formal politeness that did nothing to disguise the steel beneath. "I am President Kai Chen of the United Earth Government. We have much to discuss regarding the future relationship between our civilizations." The first speaker's artificial eyes focused on Chen with ancient intelligence. "You have demonstrated impressive capability, human. What do you seek?" "Recognition," Chen replied simply. "Recognition of Earth's sovereignty and that of our allies in the Sol Confederation. Recognition that the era of alliance expansion by intimidation or force has ended." Bold words from a species that has existed for a mere eye-blink in cosmic terms, said another counselor, a crystalline entity that shimmered with internal light. "You have won a tactical victory, yes, but the alliance spans thousands of worlds across multiple spiral arms. Do you truly believe you can stand against our full might?" Ambassador Okafor stepped forward. "With respect, Counselor, you misunderstand the situation. We don't seek conflict with the alliance. We seek to transform it." This declaration was met with stunned silence from the council. Even Vexer, watching from his flagship, seemed taken aback. "For too long," Okafor continued, "the alliance has operated on principles of assimilation rather than cooperation. Species deemed primitive are given the choice between submission or destruction. We propose a different model, one based on mutual respect and genuine partnership." As he spoke, the view screen expanded further to show the Sol Gate, the stable wormhole at the edge of the solar system. Through it came more ships, not warships this time but vessels of obvious scientific and diplomatic purpose, bearing markings of a dozen different non-alliance civilizations. "What you're witnessing," Chen explained, "is not just a military response to your invasion. It's the emergence of a new galactic community, one that has been growing in the shadows of your dominion for decades." The revelation struck the council like a physical blow. Not only had humanity developed beyond all expectations, but they had been actively constructing an alternative to the alliance itself, finding other independent species, forming diplomatic and trade relationships, and building a network outside alliance control. "Impossible," whispered one of the counselors. "Our surveys are comprehensive. There cannot be so many undiscovered civilizations. Your surveys focus on specific technological signatures," Admiral Rice pointed out. "Species that develop along different technological paths often escape your notice, dismissed as primitive or irrelevant. We found them. We connected them. And together, we've created something new." On Earth, in monitoring stations around the planet, humanity watched the confrontation with collective-held breath. For generations, they had lived with the knowledge that they were not alone in the universe, and that much of what existed beyond their world meant them harm. The discovery of the Alliance scout ships had been both a blessing and a curse, providing technological insight, but also confirmation of an impending threat. The response had been unprecedented in human history. Ancient rivalries had been set aside, resources pooled, research shared, all while maintaining the illusion of business as usual for any watching Alliance eyes. Now, as President Chen delivered humanity's terms to the Galactic Council, citizens around the world allowed themselves to hope that the gamble had paid off. The facade had been maintained long enough for Earth to not only prepare its defenses, but to reshape the local galactic political landscape. In a secure observation room adjacent to the diplomatic chamber, Dr. Eleanor Park, the physicist whose breakthroughs had made the Sol Gate possible, watched with professional interest as the council struggled to comprehend the new reality. "They still don't understand the full implications," she remarked to her colleague, Dr. Vikram Singh. "They think this is just about military capability." Singh nodded, his attention on the energy readings from the Sol Gate. "They don't realize that stable wormhole technology changes everything. Their entire economic and political structure is built around controlling traditional FTL routes." Park smiled slightly. "Precisely. By the time they figure it out, the new network will be too established to dismantle." Back in the diplomatic chamber, negotiations continued. The initial shock had given way to careful positioning on both sides. The Alliance Council, recognizing their immediate tactical disadvantage, had shifted to damage control. "We acknowledge Earth's impressive achievements," the first speaker conceded. "Perhaps a special status within the Alliance framework could be arranged. Autonomy beyond what is typically granted to new member worlds." Chen's expression remained polite but unyielding. "You misunderstand, first speaker. We are not negotiating to join your alliance. We are negotiating the terms by which your alliance will interact with the Sol Confederation and its allies as equals." For emphasis, he gestured to the view screen, where the Sol Gate continued to bring new vessels into the system. Not just ships, but massive habitat structures and technological installations too large to have been built in secret within the solar system. "While your attention was focused on Earth," Admiral Rice explained, "we were building beyond your reach. The Sol Gate connects to a region of space your surveys have never penetrated, a region we now call Sanctuary." The implications were staggering. Not only had humanity developed technology beyond Alliance expectations, but they had been establishing an entirely new center of civilization outside Alliance influence. "This changes the fundamental balance of galactic power," Vexer observed, speaking directly to the Council. "We must adapt to this new reality." In the silence that followed, President Chen allowed himself a moment of reflection. Humanity had walked a dangerous path to reach this point. There had been voices calling for preemptive strikes against the Alliance once Earth's technology reached sufficient levels. Others had argued for isolationism, building defenses but avoiding contact with other civilizations entirely. Instead, they had chosen a third path, secretly reaching out to other species overlooked or oppressed by the Alliance, forming bonds of trust and cooperation, and working together to create a true alternative to Alliance hegemony. "We propose a concord," Chen said finally, "a formal recognition between the Alliance and the Sol Confederation, establishing boundaries, trade protocols, and diplomatic channels, a first step toward a more balanced galactic community." The first speaker conferred briefly with the other counselors before responding. "We will consider your proposal, President Chen. In the meantime, we instruct Commander Vexer to withdraw Alliance forces from the Sol system as a gesture of good faith." It wasn't victory, not yet. Chen knew that once the shock wore off, elements within the Alliance would push for retaliation. But it was a beginning. Humanity had successfully announced its presence on the galactic stage, not as another conquest, but as a force to be reckoned with. As the diplomatic session concluded and the Alliance fleet began its withdrawal, Admiral Rice joined Chen at the observation window overlooking Earth, the blue planet that had harbored humanity's greatest secret for decades. "Phase 3 begins tomorrow," Chen said quietly. "Dismantling the facade for our own people won't be easy. They've lived with the deception for generations." Rice nodded. "Truth is often more difficult than secrecy, Mr. President. But I think humanity is ready for the stars. The real stars, not the limited version we've pretended to reach for." Below them, Earth continued its serene rotation, its inhabitants largely unaware that their place in the universe had just fundamentally changed. Tomorrow, the truth would begin to emerge, the hidden facilities revealed, the secret alliances announced, the full scope of humanity's technological advancement acknowledged. But tonight, for the first time in decades, Earth's leaders could sleep knowing that their long gamble had paid off. The Alliance had come expecting to find easy prey, and instead had discovered that humanity had become the galaxy's newest predator. Not through conquest or intimidation, but through innovation, cooperation, and a patient strategy decades in the making. The stars would never be the same again.